The new AI within Escape from Tarkov's PVE mode are somewhat problematic because of the fact that the new system involves a couple of different interactions that you can have with said AI, but the problem is that the actual AI themselves are so good to the point where using the system as it's supposed to be intended, which we'll get into in a second, is just not working properly. But before we get into the nitty gritty, make sure to drop a like on this video. It's the biggest thing that you can do to help me out, and it doesn't cost you anything, so really would appreciate that if you do enjoy the video. But if you don't, let me know what you would like me to change in future videos so I can make the best possible things for you, as that's the ultimate goal. It's for you and the people actually watching this video. So let's jump back into what this video is all about and the AI changes. So let's explain exactly what these 5 interactions with the PMC AI are supposed to be, and let's kind of give a reason as to why this system doesn't really work when you actually put it into practice in the PvE mode. Because although, you know, this doesn't actually affect PvP, I'm sure maybe this will come in at a future date in terms of scavs and stuff like that, potentially into the PvP mode. But with PvE, the problem that I've been finding at least is there are 5 different interactions. So these interactions are as follows. Instant aggression and attack. So this is essentially where you'll spawn into a raid, you'll come across a AI PMC that will be in the game, and they'll instantly aggro onto you. They will rush you, and I'm talking full on rush towards you. It's not like previously whereby, you know, you could engage a PMC, they'd start fighting you, and then maybe after you've taken out a couple of their squad mates and it's the final member of that group, they'll start to rush into you. Now what you'll find is there can be like 3-4 PMCs all come at the exact same time at you and instantly rush towards you, leaving you very vulnerable, especially as a solo player, up against even the potential of 2 different squads, which is what I had, where I was fighting USEX and bears at the exact same time who were super aggressive towards me and pushed me at the same time when I was just trying to test out a weapon to showcase to you guys, which was the Desert Eagle, which, yeah, that didn't go as planned. We definitely were able to survive some raids, but in some situations you just feel like the game is genuinely impossible. You have like 6 to 7 AI PMCs that all have very, very good aim once they've actually targeted you, and then they push you all at the same time. I mean, it's just impossible to task to actually take out all 7 as they push you at the exact same time, meaning that sometimes you're just going to die, and that is the unfortunate fact of playing Tarkov. Of course, that happens on PvP, but yeah, it feels a lot more annoying because there's going to be 2 groups pushing you who aren't fighting each other, they're actually just fighting just you. So now it becomes a problem whereby you're getting pushed by a lot of people, which is where that instant aggression and their attack is really not fun in some situations. Now, it doesn't happen all of the time, and of course you've got to be on a relatively small map whereby multiple PMCs groups are going to be on there, where Factory, for example, is that sort of map, and you'll probably see it with something like Labs, where, you know, if you get aggroed by one group, they're going to push you, and then you get aggroed by a second one when you're trying to run away, then you've got 2 groups who are now only aggroed to you and trying to fight you, which isn't going to end very well. So yeah, that definitely felt a little bit annoying, and that is only the first AI interaction type. So there's a few issues with some of the other ones that I can see coming up and kind of making the whole point of introducing these new AI reaction systems kind of irrelevant. So the first one, or the first additional one, is friendly unless shown aggression. So essentially the PMCs that you'll find throughout your raids are going to attack only if you attack them first. So that is what it's basically trying to say, and similarly, because they are friendly, they should in theory support you against any of the other people who may come towards you. So unless you aggressively attack them, they're not going to do anything to you. Now, whether that is that you can get close to them and then they'll start being aggressive back to you, or whether it's if you aim at them, maybe that is seen as a sign of aggression, it's not really detailed as to what this actually means. What is aggression? BSG should really give us a scenario whereby you know exactly what aggression means, because You know, maybe your crosshair matches over one of the AI PMCs that are friendly, and that actually counts as aggression, and then they start firing at you. So we need to know exactly what the conditions are before, you know, you can make sensible game choices. Otherwise, what is the point in having them in the game in the first place? So we need to know what those are. BSG should definitely kind of give that information out, especially when it's so vague. Aggression, what does that mean? Is it actually fighting them? Is it actively trying to take out the friendly PMCs? What is that? So that's one extra bit. But we also have neutral until shown aggression. Once again, essentially they are not friendly, so they are not going to help you, I would assume, unless of course you, I don't know, they're not going to help you. Essentially they're just going to be neutral. They're not going to be interested in you, but they are still going to be aggressive if you start getting aggressive to them. So yeah, weird one. And whether or not that is neutral unless shown aggressive, but then what happens if a AI PMC aggroes onto you that's the same faction as that neutral group, and then does the neutral group then become aggressive to you? How does that work? Because they initially introduced a system whereby if you were in close proximity to, for example, a scav or a boss, that every of the one of the AIs in that area is going to be aggressive to you and start hunting you down. Is that the same case? Is there overlapping code? Is that going to overwrite the whole thing? Not entirely sure. And so, yet again, doesn't seem to be kind of given us enough information in that regard either. So neutral, friendly, unless shown aggressive. Two different scenarios there, but very vague in their actual terms. Then we've got total friendliness, which is essentially the fact that the AI are going to be completely friendly. Whatever happens, they're going to be friendly. You could probably take one of them out and they're not going to be aggressive towards you. They are completely friendly. They will act as if they were your squad mate, is what I would assume that this technically means. And even if you take them out, they won't attack. I mean, maybe they will, but at the moment, that is what it kind of would suggest. But yet again, could do with some more information about what this actually refers to. What does friendliness mean? Is it that they're friendly to you and will help you, or does it mean that if you then take out one of their squad mates that they then become angry at you? Seems very vague. Then we've got warning and attacked if not obeyed. Now warning and attack obviously gonna make sense. They'll probably voice line to you saying get the hell out of here, and then if you don't, they'll start attacking you. So I would assume it's kind of a voice line that you need to be thinking about. Now we covered it in yesterday's video, but I've had a few experiences of trying to deal and find out what these mechanics actually are. But I ran into one of the biggest problems, I think, because I was testing this out under the guise that I'm going to find all of these different interactions between the AI. But the problem is that you don't know what AI is going to have what interaction with you, and supposedly if you are the same faction as the people that you are coming up against, they're more likely to be friendly towards you in that scenario. Not that they are going to be like 60% chance that they're friendly to you, but more so that if comparison, like you're a USEC PMC and you meet a USEC PMC in the game that's an AI, that USEC PMC that's an AI is more likely to be friendly to you than a bear PMC. Not that you are more likely to run into like it's going to be 80% chance of it being friendly if it's a USEC PMC and 60% if it's a bear. It's the fact that, you know, you could have essentially like a 2% chance of it being friendly and a 4% with a USEC. That's kind of how it works. It doesn't mean that every single one that you're going to go up against is going to be friendly to you, because that definitely isn't the case from what my experience of playing quite a few raids yesterday actually came across. So therein lies the first problem. Do we actually know if the PMC is friendly? And that's the problem for number two, because number two, or the problem that comes up from the second, and therein lies the problem. We don't know if the AI is friendly to you until you interact with them, and you don't know what type of interaction you're going to have with that AI before it starts getting very angry at you, which means that if you push towards an opponent, for example, and you think, okay, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they are going to be friendly, they voice line, they're a USEC, they were fighting someone else, now they should hopefully, in theory, potentially be a friendly AI, so I'm not going to shoot them. Then they instantly turn around and beam you in the head. Okay, right, so I should have just fired at them regardless. And that is the second problem, because they've introduced a PMC karma system, which is supposed to be in line with the AI enemy reaction system that's come to PvE. However, the PMC karma system does not reward you for actually taking out PMCs anymore, unless you take out a PMC that is of the opposite faction to you. So if you take out a PMC from the bear faction as a USEC PMC yourself, then you'll get rewarded by the karma system. So you will get better karma because you've taken out a PMC that's of the opposite faction. But if you take out a friendly, in quotation marks, which can still be instantly aggressive to you and attack you, you will lose PMC karma. Yeah, I'm starting to see an issue here, whereby you don't know if they're going to be friendly, so you shoot on sight. But if you shoot on sight and they end up to be a USEC PMC, you lose your PMC karma, which means that the boss is going to spawn in with you, and therefore you can't actually gain PMC karma because you have no idea how the interaction system is going to work with each of the PMCs and the AI that you'll be meeting within the game. So what's the point of adding in an AI enemy reaction system if there is no way of determining what the interaction is going to be? Can you implement a system in terms of being able to call out, and if they call back to say I'm friendly, then brilliant, okay. So if you're behind a rock and you call out and you say friendly and they go back friendly, then you can actually understand that they're going to be friendly to you. If you call out and say friendly and they start shouting and screaming at you, then you know that they're hostile. Currently, doesn't really seem to be the case within the game, and that is something that I think is going to be very annoying for PvE mode. And so this, I think, will be an issue that BSG are going to have to solve if they want this system to actually work, because I think the idea of it is a good feature, but currently just adding this into the game, it doesn't really work. And with the fact that the PMCs are now rushing you and trying to really hunt you down and just destroy you all in a group of 4, if you're a solo player, it's going to make things a hell of a lot harder and more annoying for you to actually do anything. And although you don't really want to fight PMCs all of the time, when you do, you want it to be somewhat fair to the point where you feel like you can actually do something. Because regardless, if you're playing PvP, for example, which I played quite a bit of, and you fight a group of 4, you know from the get-go it's probably not going to go your way, and more times out of it could be 9 times out of 10 you're going to get taken out by a group of 4, just simply because of the fact that it's a group of 4 players who can all push you at the exact same time. On PvE, you have no idea whether those PMCs are going to be friendly to you, and if they are, then brilliant. If they're not, then they're all going to turn, and they've got incredible aim after a short period of time. So after about 1 second of them being aggro to you, so they'll voice line, they'll shout at you, and then very, very, very quickly after, I don't know the exact time between them voice lining and shooting you, sometimes it will just be instantly shooting you, that, yeah, you don't know how long that is going to be, and because there's 4 of them, they can all do that, and they can get multiple angles, and they have incredible aim, as I've said, because it's an AI, remember, and so, yeah, you have a lot less of a chance against them, and this is where AI, in general, in video games, can be very annoying to come up against, because at the end of the day, it's very difficult to program randomness. Like, how do you program in someone's mouse mat getting caught on their mouse where then they can't move? You know, this happens to normal people, but how do you make that into a computer game to make it seem more fair and like you're playing like a human being? Because it's either on or off for an AI at the minute in terms of how it works. I'm sure they're not entirely, but you get my point, whereby they either do something or they do nothing, or they maybe do something that is trying to simulate what a human would do, but in doing that it's either on or off. It's very difficult to interact in a way where maybe they do things partially right, if you get what I mean. Maybe they aim at you well at the beginning, but then they get recoil and it goes all over the place. With an AI, it's maybe they have bad aim to begin with for the first second, and then they lock onto you and then they take you out. And this is the problem. It doesn't feel like a fair system, or at least an interesting system, to the point where you can have those cool and engaging fights where maybe you do take on a squad of 4 in PvE and actually come out on top. Yes, you can do it, and depending on your skill level, then absolutely. I mean, I've definitely done that even after this patch, but it's a lot more difficult when they all have so good aim to the point where you're always playing against a consistently good AI versus a random player base who maybe are all a group of Timmies, or maybe they're a full group of Chads. Doesn't seem to be like that in the PvE mode at the moment. So I thought I'd talk about it today because this system, I like the idea of being able to communicate with the other AI, but the problem is it's not done in the right way, at least from my experience so far. Yes, it's very early on, but usually you can get a little bit of a hint after playing the game for so long that I have already. You kind of get a feeling for how the AI's interactions are actually previously and now, and there's definitely a substantial difference, but that difference isn't necessarily all positive. So there are good things. I like the fact that they push you, but pushing you in a group of 4 feels very, very annoying, and the fact that you can be pushed at once by like 8 PMCs, just not fair at all. And yeah, there's no interaction as well. They didn't seem to fight each other, which makes it even worse once they've locked onto you and targeted you in specific, even if they're 2 different factions. So yeah, I thought I'd talk about it today. I wanted to see your opinions. Have you had some good engagements? What do you think about it? And what do you think about actually the fact that you may even be able to do a voice line yourself to find out whether something is actually friendly or not? I feel like that would be a very big change and would help massively with this whole system that they've currently got in the game, because then you know if they're friendly or aggressive. And I wanted to reiterate, by no means am I saying that I have all of the answers. I certainly don't. But things like this, where they test out new things, are a good thing to happen. It's just, unfortunately, we got to live with the negatives of it at the moment in time. And hopefully they'll come out with a better system that does involve some extra features that are better to help us out as a player base and get us back into playing and enjoying the game. But I think overall, hopefully this can be a positive change in the future. But right now, not a good change right now. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to check out some of the other changes that came with this whole AI update, then be sure to check out yesterday's video where we covered the brief overview of a lot of the things that changed in Escape from Tarkov's PvE mode, and I will see you in the next one hopefully. Have a great rest of the day. Goodbye.